Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott MacKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, once again, thank you very much for joining Industrial Talk, and thank you for your continued support of a platform that celebrates industry professionals all around the world. Because you're bold, you're brave, you dare greatly, you are passionate about solving problems, and you collaborate. As you can tell in the background, we have some drummers. I don't know. Oh, there they go. We're broadcasting on site, PowerGen 24 here in New Orleans, Louisiana, and of course, you can't go to New Orleans, Louisiana without a parade of some sort, and that's what's happening on the show floor as we speak. All right, once again, go out to industrialtalk.com. You're going to get all the great interviews from all of the professionals out there, as well as we have podcasts, we have learning management systems, we have all the information that you need to be specific to, well, your success. So let's get cracking. In the hot seat, we have a gentleman by the name of Stephen Hanley. Did I say that right?
Yes, sir.
And he's from Long Island, New York, and it's Wilson, right?
Thomas C. Wilson.
Thomas C. Wilson.
LLC.
It's an LLC?
Yeah.
Stephen Hanley. It would have been great if you were Hanley. Wilson, right?
Well, I am a Wilson.
I can't keep up with it.
But I'm a Hanley and a Wilson.
Oh, there you go, man. All right. All right, for the listeners out there, Thomas, give us a little background on who you are and why you're such an incredible professional.
45 years in the boiler and heat exchanger industry is why I'm a professional. Our company is a company that's almost 100 years old.
No way.
I'm a third generation owner, manager, running the company, developing relationships. I have 2 children.
And they're going to be in
2
it?
girls. They're figuring that out right now.
Well,
They're both professional. They're both professionals, so I can't. Well, you never know what the future brings.
Yeah, I got you. I didn't mean to bring it down.
I would never push them to do, they got to do what they have to do.
Oh, I got you.
And they're good. They're good. They're good.
Well, I got you. All right. You're here at the conference. What makes this conference so, special for you?
Most importantly is the relationships I've developed through the years. Coming back here, and before I come to the show, I go through the list of all the customers that are existing and the people that I know in the industry. You got to stay connected.
And it doesn't hurt that it's here in New Orleans, and so you go out to dinner and you do some dinner stuff.
Well, food here is just delicious. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. One of the best things.
They deliver. They deliver.
They do deliver. Yeah. They do deliver.
Yeah, it's not hype.
Last night, I live in a small town in Long Island called Oyster Bay, Long Island.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. There's a famous singer from there.
There you go. Yeah.
There's a guy that, sings piano and kind of, rocks Long Island for a long time. He's very close to me. But there we have the best oysters, I thought, in the country. So last night I had to sample some New Orleans oysters, and they're plump, delicious, and the most important thing is everybody knows how to serve them here.
Yeah, you get in a situation where somebody doesn't know how to shuck it properly, and then you're chewing on the shell, and it's like, no. You need, and boy, have you had the char grill?
Yes. Oh yeah. I love to cook, and I cook oysters up all the time. On the grill, I shuck them,
Do you shuck them?
Oh yeah.
How do you as we digress.
You gotta get in there.
Yeah, because I've had oysters where the shell was in there, and it's something. They chip it.
The key is to make sure all the juice stays in the oyster. That's the most important part. You want all that.
True.
You want all that juice in there. They got to be ice cold. But let's get back to my industry.
Yes.
How about that?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I love
We've
New Orleans.
got time. But go ahead. So let me ask you this question. Yeah. You've seen a lot of changes happening in your industry.
Certainly.
What are the challenges that face your industry today, specifically to what you do? What are some of those?
Thank God our industries are multi. We not only cover power, but we also cover refining and chemical, heating and cooling, So we're diversified. So we kind of see things in the power industry has changed, shifted from traditional power plants, nuclear power plants, now to cogeneration, alternate power resources, solar, geothermal, hydro, all those things are accelerating, and the traditional power plant, which our products are used quite commonly in, are declining. But over the last 5 years, a lot of those power plants that they thought that they were going to retire, they've taken a second look at and said, hey, maybe it wasn't so bad, that old Bertha that was running, that old boiler, versus a combined cycle unit. When you need the power, you flick it on.
Yeah, they're good peakers.
Good peakers.
Yeah.
But the long term is that in 10, 15 years, you're going to have to replace them. Those components are going to wear, they're going to, but that's the way they're built. So there's a big shift in power. How much electric cars and electric is shifting, it's shifting again. It's shifting again. I think that I was reading the other day in the journal that, all the car industry put all their eggs into that EV.
Yeah.
And now they're second thinking it. They're thinking it bad about it again, saying that there has not been the sales that they thought in that area.
It's not even just the sales. It's the pressure it puts on the grid itself. You have a certain amount. We're not developing and building these massive generation capacity, and then you have the infrastructure that has to support those EVs, and it's just like cart before the horse type thing. But it's above my pay grade. But I see some real challenges. If you head on down that road, you're going to need that generation.
You're going to need a lot more generation.
A lot.
I hesitate as a consumer on that, just because is the infrastructure there now to maintain that? I don't just drive a little bit. I drive a lot, so I haven't moved in that direction. But our industry in our business has shifted and changed away from those larger power plants in this industry. We've grown in chemical and petrochemical as we're going, but again, those are retracting too. The refining process here has been retracting because we're importing a lot more refined product versus just raw crude. So there's a lot of changes in the industry. A lot of changes.
Yeah, but see, even in the world of chemical manufacturing, you still need some thermal source. You still need that to manufacture whatever the chemical is.
Steam.
You need it.
You need tubes.
You do. I don't see how else you're going to get around that. Everything that we look at is made with what a petrochemical. I mean, everything that's right here.
What's holding in your hand? That pen.
The tables, everything. And that requires that energy to be able to do that.
That's correct. So, thank God our business and our industry have been solid through the last 100 years, and will continue because steam is a very important element in all those industries that we just talked about, food to sugar to power generation to refining, chemical, petrochemical, everything that we touch. How we get it and what we burn and how we move through that is is certainly what we're going to be burning is constantly changing.
The company Wilson.
Yes.
Do you manufacture? Are you vertically integrated where you're manufacturing the boilers? And tell us a little bit more about that company.
Our company is a manufacturing company based in Long Island City, New York, Queens. Yes, we do. We start from a piece of steel. We turn, we grind, we mill, we heat treat, we assemble. Tools, expanding, cleaning equipment for tubes. So when you are constructing a boiler or a heat exchanger, because the coefficient of expansion and contraction, you have to swage that tube to make sure it seals or weld. So we make that instrument called an expander. We also make tube cleaning equipment for cleaning the tube after in process. Plugging, checking, everything having to do with tubes. Installation, removal, checking, and plugging tubes.
Yeah, so you're a one-stop shop.
Of course.
To where if I need a boiler, I can contact you guys.
I sell to the boiler manufacturers.
You sell to the
boiler manufacturers, right? And heat exchanger manufacturer. I don't make the boilers. I make the tools to put the tubes in the boilers.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a 100-year-old business.
That's a 100-year-old business. Started by my grandfather, who was a chief engineer in the U.S. Navy.
Classic.
New York, Brooklyn Navy Yard.
Classic.
Was a chief engineer, and actually aboard the Leviathan, which was one of the first Navy ships. It was a British ship converted to a U.S. Navy ship. It only had 12 boilers on it.
Jeez.
And had 14 chief engineers to operate those boilers, and he was one of them. Saw the need for cleaning, saw the need, developed something, and here we are today.
No way.
Yes, sir.
There was just that need. That's like, hey, here's your grandfather. I got to manage these and maintain these boilers, and I'm finding that I'm having a hard time getting in the nooks and crannies and having the tools to be able to do that adequately, and therefore, let me do this, and let me change this, and then it just turned into this business.
Well, he was an entrepreneur, back in the 20s, and saw that need, developed the product, was an inventor, would get a contract from the government, and as my grandmother would tell me, the company was shut down for a week or so, celebrating that contract, and after they delivered it, and go after the next one. So he was a great guy. He was a great guy, and beautifully that my mother and my grandmother continued the corporation through the years after my grandfather had passed away at a young age. Being a boiler maker and being in that industry, that was a tough industry to be in. Being in the boiler room, coal-fired boilers, and all the asbestos and who knows what else was in there. So, so we kept going, and here we are, still going strong.
See, that's just, God, I have so many questions to ask, especially from that historical perspective of I can only imagine your father and your grandfather and the stories they have and how they just sort of. Of course, you've got stories too, but it's just fascinating because that was just part of the Industrial Revolution. That need to create that thermal energy, the steam, to make things work.
Well, people don't realize, what steam does for the world. What it does.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in a restaurant last night and we're speaking, eating my oysters as we were talking about before.
Absolutely.
And I go, do you know where that electricity comes from, to the waitress or whatever? And she goes, from the cord.
Hey.
And on down the line, we talked her all the way through where it really came from.
Yeah.
The nuclear or the fossil or the plant that it was being generated in steam and et cetera, et cetera. She was like, oh, thank you.
So where do you see it going? Put your future hat. What do you see that are the trends? We've spoken of the alternative generation and how that might be impacting the business in a way, but then again, you got geothermal. I'm quite familiar with geothermal. I'm quite familiar with all of the even the solar, when you start talking about parabolic, and then they flash, they do the steam, all of that stuff. Where do you see it going?
Well, I think that we're going to continue to develop alternate sources for energy. I think it's just in our DNA and in the world. It has to. Because of the emphasis on the environment, the emphasis on, now we have the biggest issue, the methane gas issue that's occurring, and, the toxins from that. And
how do you shut down the methane? I mean, that's
well, you start.
That's the biomass, doing what biomass does.
It's amazing what you think about it, though. The New York City Housing Authority is getting rid of all its gas ranges in all of their apartments and putting induction heating in. Where are you going to get the electricity for that? So every time there's a cause, there's an effect. There's a balance and counterbalance of everything that we do, as far as, just like we were talking about electric energy and electric cars. Where's that energy coming from? So we're going to continue to develop alternate energies, and some of these things we're going to geothermal. Certainly, it's been used around the world. There's probably better places for geothermal than the United States, but bigger reserves.
You got the Imperial Valley. You got I think Mammoth area. I'm not sure of any other ones.
New Zealand, huge. The plants there. So, and also in Chile and Guatemala.
That's true.
There's other South American.
Yeah, but they're
areas.
right on a fault.
Yeah, they're on. Well, that's not their fault, but
Hey! There it is, a double entendre.
But that's where I see things going.
Yeah. And you're just going to have to be a company that is nimble to be able to respond to the changes, and there's no way you're not going to get around the use of that steam. There's just always going to be that need to do that.
How we get it is
then you can have that debate.
Exactly. But as far as my business is concerned, you need to constantly be changing. You need to be constantly being innovative. You need the best customer service in the world. You need a dynamic website. You need information. And you have to be reliable. And you got to make quality. If you do those things, they're easy.
I like it.
You'll be successful.
Stephen, how do people get a hold of you? They're saying, hey, I like what he's saying. He's got a silky smooth voice. If that whole boiler thing doesn't work out for you, you got a radio voice.
Thank you, buddy. Hey, just go to the website, www.tcwilson.com, or give us a call, 800-230-2636.
Freaking pro. That's what you are.
Thomas C. Wilson, LLC, Long Island City, New York, made in the USA.
There it is, Stephen. Thomas C. Wilson. He's a pro. You can tell he's done this before. All right, once again, we're broadcasting from PowerGen here in New Orleans, Louisiana. It's PowerGen 24. He's already wrapping up, and he's not even done. Look at him. Now he's making noise. He's the owner. Whatever. Anyway, thank you very much for joining. We're going to wrap it up on the other side. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
All right, that was a great conversation, Stephen Hanley. The company is Thomas C. Wilson, heat exchangers, boilers, and everything that's associated with that. Important stuff. The company's been around for 100 years. Can you believe that? That just blew my mind. All right, that was PowerGen. So put that on your calendar when you have something to do for next year. PowerGen up at the top, great event. All right, we're building a platform. As you know, that Industrial Talk is here for you. We have, of course, podcasts. We have technology sprints, which highlights your technology. We have webinars. We have a learning management system. And it's all geared toward that education. You need to educate, you need to collaborate, and you need to innovate. And it is happening now, fast and furious. Go out to Industrial Talk. Reach out to me. Let's be a friend. Let's do that. All right. I want you to be bold, brave, and I want you to dare greatly each and every day. Hang out with Stephen. Change the world. We're going to have another great conversation shortly, so stay tuned.